Hello, today I want to talk about a topic that I've been talking a lot about in my social media content as well as Tapping In Tuesdays. And I want to actually dive a little bit deeper into this and give you some more clarity and insight into why your standard CBC test, when it comes back normal, isn't telling the whole truth. You see, we get these standard labs done when we are experiencing some sort of chronic symptom. The first test is usually the CBC, and then there might be some other labs as well, like hormonal testing. But what happens when these labs come back normal, but you're still experiencing real symptoms? Of course, a lot of times our doctors are like, well, labs are normal, nothing's wrong, you're fine. But nothing could be further from the truth, because our symptoms are actually guiding us to some sort of disruption or dysfunction in our body systems. And when we ignore these signs and signals, we open ourselves up to damage and disease. And this is where the medical system unfortunately falls short. Is that when we are experiencing symptoms in the early disruption, dysfunction stages, there's no real test in the medical system that we can use to detect that. So as a result of our early disruption and dysfunction, we're told everything is fine because the labs aren't able to detect the early stages of dysfunction. They are designed to detect disease. And what happens is, until we are damaged enough, they can't detect that disease process. So we fall short in detecting this early disruption and dysfunction, which is where the prevention is. And until we take steps to regain balance and minimize that dysfunction, ultimately what we wind up with is damage and disease. Now, the medical system is great for the most part at helping us manage disease, but there's so much that we can do to prevent the disease diagnosis by understanding that our body is sending us these symptoms for a reason. And when we start to learn to understand and decode what our body is trying to tell us, we are able to start taking steps to minimize that damage and that disruption and the dysfunction so that we can prevent a disease diagnosis later. But what this takes is us understanding that we are having symptoms for a reason. And we need to stop trying to silence, suppress, minimize, and ignore. Because until we are able to start understanding that we have these symptoms for a reason and that we need to listen to their wisdom and their guidance, what we're going to wind up with is more disease. And that's unfortunately what the system kind of leans us towards in a lot of ways, is the lie of you're fine and nothing's wrong ultimately will wind up being a chronic disease diagnosis. And unfortunately, once we get one diagnosis, oftentimes we wind up with another diagnosis, especially when it comes to autoimmune disease. Do you know that 1 in 12 women right now are walking around with one autoimmune disease? And once you get one, you're almost 80% more likely to get a second. If that doesn't encourage you to at least think a little bit more about prevention, I don't know what does. There are so many things that could be causing this early disruption and dysfunction in your body that the CBC test isn't even looking for. It's not obvious to them what's really going on that's really underneath your symptoms. It takes somebody who has the experience and the knowledge to look beneath the labs and the symptoms, and to be able to develop a action plan that's based on your unique needs. Because every client, every patient is different. And the pills and the cookie cutter one size fits all protocols aren't working for you. And surprise, they're not going to. Because what you really need is to take action in this early stage of disruption and dysfunction. And unfortunately, your primary care provider probably isn't going to be able to guide you in being able to do that. And that's why it's important to find somebody who can help you in these early stages, get answers, clarity, and an action plan that's going to help you minimize all of these symptoms you've been experiencing, because they're going to help you get to the root of what's really going on. What's beneath those symptoms? What's beneath those normal labs? If you're interested in learning more, I would be honored to have you join me in a Solera lab review. The information for that is in my bio, and I can also provide a link in the bottom of the description so that you can have access to this information and you can start your healing journey by decoding your symptoms, taking action, and actually taking back your power, reconnecting to that inner health wisdom that's really going to guide you to healing and true lasting transformation. Again, I'm Dr. Julie Lynn. I will leave the link in the show notes. And until next time, please remember, your body holds the key to your healing. You just have to learn to listen. Bye for now.